All right, welcome, Mystic Quest fans around the world, to this month's edition of the Mystic Quest Community Race, featuring a spoiler race for the first time this year. So I know I'm excited to see how our expert runners here, Hatox and Noobtree, go ahead and navigate this with all the information they have available. Huge shout outs behind the scenes to Wildem for putting on the restream, for Potato keeping me honest here in the booth, and also to the most important person, Socket, doing the tracking, because that's the actual hard job.
Yo,
So yeah, Potato, take it away, my friend. What are you looking forward to on this one?
I'm excited. I think, we don't see spoiler log races very often, so it's going to be interesting to see how the runners take that 10 minutes and having the spoiler log available throughout the seed to sort of route it. We've got progressive gear on, which I think one of the things Hitax, who built this flag set, was excited to show some spoiler log thing, really wanted to show off how that combines, I think. So we're going to get to see that tonight. The runners have normal Doom Castle access, so we're going to need a bunch of things. All three claws, all three bombs, the Mobius crest, the Captain's Cap, the Thunder Rock, the Sky Coin, which is in a box all by itself. So a lot of things the runners have to sort of puzzle out, putting together, and we're going to get to see how they pull it off. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely excited to see how it all goes. There's a lot that they have to find. We know where it all is also, but it's gonna be near impossible to tell everybody where everything is ahead of time. But we should be ready to go in just a second here.
Least the runners. We've got both Noob Tree and Satox running tonight. I don't think anybody else hopped in, but excited to see what they're doing. Fun names, shout outs,
Yeah, it
very
looks
much
like
appreciated.
we have Hitox naming themselves Noob Tree, I think, and then Noob Tree naming themselves Potato, which is a thing.
Yeah,
I think they're trying to pull a
our
fast
powers
one on us.
combined. We've seen the spoiler log. The audience maybe has. You can dip into the race time room and grab the seat if you want. But opening here, we've got Overworld Shuffle and we've got Volcano. No surprise in the opening region, which has a crest. And we do know from looking at the spoiler log, the runners are gonna have to go pretty far down here in Ice Pyramid for the first couple things to really get them moving on the seed. So we'll see how many blockers are on pass, because at this point, that's going to be really the only thing sort of throwing the runners for any sort of loops.
Yeah, the nice thing about it though is that it is strict formations, so that means that everything is going to basically be set up where, oh, you're only going to have Foresta enemies in this first area, regardless of what the actual location is. So like, you have Ice Pyramid, you have Volcano. Doesn't matter. You're going to get Foresta enemies, and well, that's good.
Oh yeah, especially with Randomizer on, it can be a little dangerous if the enemies roll native to their zone, especially with Fireberg enemies. Potentially showing up even Windia enemies in the starting region can definitely make it dangerous without more gear than the runners have right now. Um, they've got a nice blessing. We started with Phoebe, which I didn't catch looking over things earlier, but we were discussing ahead of time that Phoebe's pretty strong in general and definitely in these flags. A good one as far as quests to get done to power them up.
Yeah, this particular Phoebe is the best character in this particular seed by roughly many miles or kilometers or any other unit of measurement you want to use that would relate to distance. This Phoebe is very good compared to everybody else. everyone gets Cure in the seed, so she's going to get it at level 15, which is one quest. She also gets White at level 23, which is two quests, and also picks up Meteor at level 34, which is three quests. The quests that she has, one of them is clear the Ice Pyramid battlefield, easy enough. A second one is visit the Chocobo in Windia, which we're going to need a Dragon Claw for that, but that's okay. And the third is visit the Winter Cave and go to Windia. So this particular setup for Phoebe is very, very nice. We know we're going to be getting the Dragon Claw. We can get to Windia pretty quickly if we want to and just rush Phoebe to White to help out, getting through all of the encounters, since we know our runners are going to need to be going to the Fireberg area to get a lot of their progressive stuff in this seed. So our runners are going to be able to navigate this how they want to, but I particularly think that rushing Phoebe to make everything else faster would be the optimal way through this. I'm very curious if our runners think the same or if I am wildly off base on this.
Yeah, we'll see. Especially with her available right away, I think it makes sense. You can sort of beeline powering her up, which is going to make a lot of the rest of the seed easy. We know that you're going to have to go pretty deep through Lava Dome to get some of the items, and yeah, having just somebody who can blast through the enemies that are going to be on the way without you having to think too much about it. Very nice. See, Hitak's picking up some cash there before moving on. Gonna need that because our Sun coin is gonna cost us 500 gold this seed. We're gonna have to go get that from uh, the Fireberg vendor here shortly. And Docs, I think, realizing he left the sand coin behind here, that axe necessary to get it down in this forest. But I think the only thing we're probably going to see in all of Alive Forest tonight is this one box.
Yeah, just pick up that sand coin. So now we have sand and river coin. We also know where sun coin is behind the vendor, but that sand coin will let us, open up a big chunk of the map as well. So we just have a lot of different stuff that's available, and just for our runners, having that knowledge of what they want to do. And it looks like Hatox is doubling back for some things as well here in Ice Pyramid. But it's one of those things where they can kind of choose their fate as to how they go about this, and they can fade things. If they don't care about picking up, let's say, the white spell on Benjamin, which Hatox just got. Let's say Hatox was like, I don't care. I'm just going to rush Phoebe. I don't need white on Ben. Cool, go for it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you have a ton of agency as a runner with a spoiler log. I personally don't run a lot of spoiler logs unless I have someone telling me what to do. I find that I get information overload and analysis paralysis, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know when to do it. Tell me what to go do, and I'll do it. And so it's really interesting, having a spoiler log where you are an individual runner as opposed to like a team.
Oh yeah, you've got to sort of figure it out all by yourself, and sort of keep that spoiler log when it's available ready to double check something if you think you missed something. But yeah, you can really lean into what you're comfortable with and just grab a few things and skip potentially a lot of stuff, which we're certainly going to see, I think, tonight. Quite a few things skipped based on where things shuffled.
Yeah, and to answer a question from chat real quick, because Wildham brought up co-pilot tournament when. So a co-pilot tournament is basically you have a spoiler log. The person who is reading out instructions is the one who will tell the other person to actually play the seed and go do things, which is kind of what I was insinuating and talking about before. Is like I love it when someone just says, "Hey, go do this," and I'll go execute it. You don't have to worry about being paralyzed with information that way. So it's one of those things where, depending on play styles, you can get like a really impressive team together where they can be much more than the sum of their parts, much greater than the sum of their parts. It's real interesting. Also, with Hatox being in Fireberg already, very curious to see where Hatox goes first in here because we have a ton of value in Lava Dome, a
Yep.
lot of progressive stuff, but it's pretty dangerous to go after that right now. Hatox also trying to figure out how am I going to get this Sun Coin? I need money. There was a 5-of-5 battlefield there. That ain't great. So
Oh,
we're kind of
that's it.
scouting the
Yeah.
map, um, trying to figure out how we're going to afford basically getting Phoebe online to white. So I think Hatox and I were on the same wavelength. It's just a matter of, well, where do we go and how do we get there?
Yeah, that's very interesting. That money tile potentially also wouldn't even give you enough. I'm not sure how much you picked up on the first money tile, but
150,
yeah.
the low roll.
Oh yeah, so that's not great. So he's grabbing the first claw here. We've got three claws available in the Fireburg region, I believe. And two of them are here in Lava Dome. So we're gonna have to get all three to get uh, that Dragon Claw. The other one, yes, two are in Lava Dome and one's in that blue battlefield we saw in the Fireburg region. So we will need to take that down at some point. But it looks like Tox is just going to see, we don't know where enemies are on the spoiler log. So just checking it out to sort of see where things are and how far you can get, what you can pick up. We've got exit in here, but we're going to need to go all the way down to the boss room to get everything we need. So, yeah, maybe more of a struggle than the spoiler log initially sort of made it look to be. We do have seeds, so gonna throw out some of those white charges, it looks like.
A more favorable roll here as well, getting the 2 stack instead of the 3 stack. I would pretty much guarantee the 3 stack is not dying to a single white there, but a 2 stack will. So I think that's pretty heads up, even though it stinks to burn a seed.
Yeah.
That's tough sledding. If you don't get through that fight, you don't get much. So we did see Noob Tree go and buy some seeds, whereas Hatox was opting not to as much, like trying to save some of that money. I think as we're basically using single seeds here for one white cast, and that is well, the
Rough.
enemies can roll 25 to 125. So let's see what we get.
Yeah, hope you're lucky. Yeah, Noob Tree picking up the claw off that battlefield in one battle, so that's not bad. But also gonna, yeah, head down here to Lava Dome and see what and where the blockers are, because that's really going to be the main worry is how to get to the things. They're there. You just
Yeah,
worry a
and
bit about some nasty enemies in the way.
yeah, it looks like Hatox has gotten through those 2 required encounters to get to the boss door. And we know that at the end of the Caldera stairwell, I believe it was, that is where the exit spell is, if I'm not mistaken. So that is something we're going to want at some point. Hatox going back and yeah, gonna get some more seeds and figure out this this Sun Coin situation a little bit later. So hopefully we're able to get through some things. It looks like we did not clear out these enemies in one cast on Noob Tree's side, and this is potentially a little awkward.
Yeah, the enemies rolling a little bit on the thicker side, going to require some finagling of the party to get through, I think. Who we have.
And the issue here also is the defend command does not work when you are blinded. So this is not ideal.
No, not so much. Yeah, these enemies rolling a little mean, and you got to get through them at some point.
Yeah, if we saved beforehand, then maybe we'd be able to get, a 2 stack instead of a 3. This white will at least take out the one on the left. So we're down to 2, and we might be able to just attack our way through with, whatever our best weapon is. Unfortunately, though, Phoebe being blinded kind of puts a damper on that.
Yeah, that defend command, very, very powerful. Unfortunately, when it just turns off because of blind, it's not good. But we do see, yeah, the second cast of white get taken care of there. And there is our Sky Coin. We're going to need that to beat the game. So, a very good pickup. Funny that it had some pretty challenging enemies right in front of it. And it looks like it talks all the way down through. Labdom going to get the final piece of the puzzle here that he needs, which is that Wake Water, since the Mobius Crest happened to roll itself into the back of Focus Tower.
Yeah, and was able to pick up the exit spell and the moon helm. So that gives Hatox the ability to go through and have fire resist, as well as being able to just kind of bounce in and out of different regions. That exit spell is going to save a lot of time. I know that Hatox is going to want to look for money at this point. It really needs to buy that coin to get Phoebe fully online.
Yep. You've got to get that coin as well as going to need to go back to the Fireberg region. Maybe he missed that that third claw was in that battlefield or just didn't want to deal with it right away. But that dragon claw for Hitox is locked behind a blue battlefield tile up in that Fireberg region. So it looks like coming back into Volcano for the cap. So didn't bother clearing out Volcano early. That's fine. What you need here is not something super important early. The cap only going to give you access to the boat at the very end of the game. So
Yeah, it's having exit now, so grab the cap and then exit out. Unless we have no white charges, and we have no way to cast exit as a result. So a phenomenal plan, but foiled by the fact that we've been so reliant on basically using seeds as a single target refresh. Oh no, we do have exit. Never mind.
there we go. Yeah, I think he was out of the other charges. Probably uh, thought the same, trying to do a quick glance in the menu. Uh, but did get to exit out. Now we're gonna get to see some more stuff. I wouldn't be surprised. I think here we're gonna get a dip into Wintry Cave because somewhere in there is our Thunder Rock. Now that that's open, where are we headed? Okay, Cage Simple. We've got an armor piece in here. I think we can get up to Gaia armor without too much difficulty. Here's our last one.
Speaking of difficulties, Noob Tree is getting bullied right now. That particular Medusa fight just being a little mean. Hopefully, oh, we're trying some birds. It looks like maybe try to get to level 8, little more XP.
Yeah, and before using a C to get that extra charge available too, just makes it much more likely you're going to be able to get through the fights with 2 white casts available.
It's also more likely to get through the fights when Phoebe doesn't miss.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately,
that was unlucky.
we love to miss. So Dox has a bunch of pieces trying to figure out his next step now, I imagine, based on the spoiler log. They did only have those 10 minutes ahead of time to really start to figure things out. So it can only get you so far, I think, in a seed like this, especially stymied by, your plan was probably to go to the windy region early, but that vendor and the lack of good vendor or money tiles, kind of had to got to do some on the fly route changing.
Yeah, the lack of funds is a big issue. It might even have been better for our runners to bounce out, of Fireberg with a seed or two, dupe them in the Foresta region, and kind of figure it out that way. It's just tough though, because you can plan for all the things in the world except what the enemies are going to do and where the
Yeah.
enemies are going to be. And that's kind of the part that's really been the roadblock. And we're about to see it a little bit again here that, Noob Tree is going to run into this fight. We thankfully get 2 ninjas, which will die to a white cast. So that's really good. And then we see on Hitoxa's side, Phoebe is up to level 15. We don't have the Dragon Claw yet, but we are at least up to level 15 already. So that is going to help out quite a bit. Since this Phoebe being at that next level will pick up the Cure Book and the Thunder spell. That Thunder spell is going to be very useful going back through Fireberg or wherever, honestly, because she gets a
Yeah.
lot of spell charges.
Yeah. One of the things I love about having a good companion with spells is they just end up with so many more charges than
Yeah.
the Benjamin character, so you really can lean on them to clear through these dungeons with the blockers. This is only 25% density. We've seen flags with much higher, and the enemies love to be in these crucial spots where you have to get through them. They love to be at the intersections of these one wide hallways with just no real way to avoid.
And it looks like this battlefield, this would have been doable early. That's not what Hitox wanted. Was Benjamin at level, what is that, 9, outspeeding Phoebe for no reason?
Yeah, racing a white charge.
And here we get some seed duping from Hitox. This was kind of what I was talking about, just barely going back to Foresta. But having a battlefield like this, we can easily do this. We're
Yep.
outspeeding the crab every time. If we get a crab and a squid combo, or a crab and beholder, baby beholder combo, we might not be able to outspeed, but it's fine. The chances, yeah, of this exact encounter being a problem are unlikely. It could be an issue, but it will probably just run away and live to fight another day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, just like that. You'll get outsped on the opener, but you're still fast enough to get away, luckily, from the enemies with these levels, so no need to worry too much. And yeah, an excellent spot to farm some seeds, make back some of that money, theoretically, while you're getting your way to some actual money. Now, the spoiler log does say how much this battlefield.
Oh,
Rude.
Sky Attack! Sky Attack says hello, friends.
Pretty
Welcome,
fun.
welcome to the Thunderdome.
How much are we gonna get here? I can find it if I look. So this is the 1200 gold tile, I believe. So we're gonna have enough money to get that very important sun coin after this fight, I believe.
Yeah, and with that Sun Coin, we'll be able to get white on Phoebe, and then really be off to the races. Unless we want to try for that Dragon Claw
Well, we should get that
immediately.
now, so that because the Chocobo quest is one
Right.
of Phoebe's, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Just
we would
save
have
time.
Meteor and white on her.
Get her as powered up as you're going to be. I don't think we're going to fight
Mm-mm.
Pazuzu tonight to
Mm-mm.
do the final upgrade,
Nope.
since there's not a lot in Pazuzu's tower. I mean, there's some stuff. We can't lie. If the runners want Cupid Locket, they're going to have to go in there. But outside of that, I don't know. I wouldn't go in just for the Cupid Locket and Phoebe 41. But maybe the runners feel that they have enough time to do that, or just want that power. And who knows? We do have a boss rush and Dark King later on, so they could prove to be pretty rude.
Yeah, it looks like we are headed over to Falls Basin. The reason we're doing this is because the actual crab chest has flare in it. So beat the
Yeah.
crab, get flare. That's a good trade-off, if you ask me, and something that I would also do to increase our power level. So I definitely understand and appreciate this play from Hitox. That way we'll have quite a bit of power on our team and not really be super concerned about anything after this. Having white and flare on one character and effectively having meteor and white on the other, that's really good coverage. Not that, Pokemon coverage is a thing here, but it's just nice to have options.
Yeah, yeah, having the options is excellent, especially with just the variety of enemies that can show up because of the randomized zones. You might run into a pack that has an enemy in there you didn't expect, or you're just going to want to be able to throw whatever the most powerful thing is, uh, you know, uh, for any particular fight out, and having access to both of them. Uh, Very good. Flare, love to have it. Not necessary for sure, but that little bit of damage is going to speed things up at the end of the game as well by quite a bit, since it is more powerful than the white spell. Here's that battlefield for Phoebe. Shouldn't be too difficult. This is Aquaria enemies, so.
And we see Noob Tree not too far behind, getting that flare. Does have quite a few less seeds though, because they did not yet do that 1200 gold battlefield. Maybe doesn't care so much about that. Maybe figures they'll get their money elsewhere, come back and do it with Flare. Not
Yeah.
exactly certain, but we do see that Hitox is just going to mow down these little Lamia ladies and be done with this pretty quickly. And yeah, in fact, Phoebe is now at level 23 already.
Very
And so
nice.
that gets white, and that's really what we need.
Yep. Her ultimate spell, this seed. She didn't roll into anything beyond that like she can in some other flags, but certainly a nice one. And there's our last bomb on Hitox's side, which I believe is everything that Hitox needs uh, for Gomite, aside from purchasing. Oh no, the Sky Coin. Did Hitox pick that up?
We need the progressive claw.
Oh, as well,
Uh,
which is up there in the Firebird region. Yeah, still, you're
right.
right.
It is one of the battlefields, I believe, has it
Yep.
that we
Yeah,
just
the
haven't quite
battlefield.
done yet.
So it does look like Hitox is dipping into Bone Dungeon, maybe to get a progressive accessory. I think you get up to the Magic Ring in here as well as the other shield. So maybe looking for some not bottom tier defenses. But it looks like, yeah, still going to have to head back to the Firebird region for that final claw. And then,
Yeah, may also be going down here for the Venus key. I'm not sure if we need anything from the Venus key checks at all. I haven't scouted that far ahead, but that is also down here in one of the rooms.
yep, I think
But
maybe
this,
the next to last room.
yeah, this could just be a dive for two things. One is a walking grind, and the other is for the progressive accessory and progressive shield. So if we're looking to get, the Aegis Shield and the Cupid Locket for protection, we'd be going in here, do our grind basically, and then go into Pazuzu's Tower once we have the Dragon Claw, and do that as well. And that would give us all of the protections. So yeah, looks like Katox didn't even care about that red box. This was just
No,
more
it's
for the
somewhere else.
XP.
Oh, that's fair, true. Right, looking to shore up those levels. We do have a boss rush and a
Yeah.
Dark King at the end we still have to get through. And by virtue of having access to the spoiler log, we've avoided probably a lot of fights we would have taken otherwise just to get through the seed. So yeah, good play to get some levels here in the Windia region on the way to some items that you value. Like this, right there.
Yeah, so there's our accessory, and then I believe our shield is going to be behind Flamerus, which Flamerus is just going to melt, so that's not a concern. We could life it, we could flare it. There's 100 different ways to approach this, and since we're out of flares, we're just going to life it.
Yeah, we're high enough level at this point. Flame Earth goes down to a quick life cast. I always love seeing that. You know exactly how much health he rolled into.
Yeah, not 100%.
Nope.
Or 125.
Yeah, the 125 could certainly come up to be extra interesting in the boss rush and
Yes.
Dark King fights because you don't really want those to go longer than they are going to go naturally. They can go sideways quickly, and we'll see if that's a concern, on either runner's side. We definitely see, some extra defenses being picked up here than what's technically required to beat the seed. So certainly some of that in the back of Hitaxi's mind as far as trying to mitigate game over scenarios there at the end of the game.
And looks like we have some movement from Noob Tree here. Does have a lot of the tools, but certainly did run into a little bit bigger problem early on. Does have the Dragon Claw though, so for Noob Tree, they have a little bit of a different route that's been taken here. But what they'll be able to do is basically get this Phoebe online and get her right up to level 34 when they go into Windia. So there's going to be a lot of action on Noob Tree's side happening in a fairly short order here.
Yeah.
Certainly, I would say still behind Hitox, but certainly also not out of it. Like there's a lot of game left to be played here.
Oh yeah.
And to your point, if the 125 rolls up and just decides to, cause our runners to have a bad day, that little bit of extra preparation and getting that meteor and having extra HP on Phoebe, that could all be entirely relevant. Let's say six pseudopod shows up, or we get a Zoe with Dark King moves. Those things can happen because of how the Randomizer is going to work in this. So it's potentially still scary for our runners, even having a spoiler log in front of them.
Yep. Yeah, lots to prepare for. The boss rush is just it adds a layer there, especially with Randomizer on where the moves aren't going to be static. You've got to prepare for some pretty bad scenarios, as we've seen in a number of the community races. Flags aside, once you start mixing up boss abilities and you put the meanest bosses in the game on the path to the end there, yeah, you can end up with some fun experiences.
Yeah, fun and other F words that we can't say on Restream because that's inappropriate for public consumption.
We're gonna see both. Yeah, look at this. That is awesome. Both doing the treehouse at almost the same time. Uh, Very cool to see. Despite all the back and forth, a little bit of high five in there. I think
It's
Cox is on his way to the boat right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious on Hitaxi's side if they were going to go back to Pazuzu's tower in Aquaria to pick up specifically the Cupid Locket and Aegis Shield because both of them are in there. Pazuzu's tower is in Aquaria. It's not that far a run, and it is a huge level of safety. Again, I bring that up because Dark King's moves are shuffled in the Enemizer. So if you get a bad roll on where those go and you don't have those protections, you are in a bad way. So I'm very curious what else. Hitox needs the Sun Coin. That also is very
Sky Coin.
helpful. Sky
Yeah.
Coin. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would help.
I think he thought he had it clearly, on the way to the boat, and realizing, wait, I'm missing one important thing. The final key, so to speak. This game doesn't have. Well, this game does have two keys, but they're not. They only open very specific doors, not the important doors. And there we go. The Sky Coin gonna let us into Doom Castle at the end. Like, Noobtree got the money to buy the Sun Coin, now kind of plotting out what they want to do probably when they get to that windier region and power up that Phoebe the rest of the way. Just a pretty chill battlefield as we saw earlier, which is nice to get her that final spell upgrade you need.
Yeah, and I will say this is a play that Hitox is making here to go. I would be very hesitant since I know that I can get both Cupid Locket and Aegis Shield in the same dungeon in Aquaria. Like Pazuzu's Tower is not scary when it's in Aquaria. It's
Yeah,
crappy little enemies that you can just roll over. I would be trembling, but this is also a game where aggression gets paid more
yep.
often than not, and I am a very conservative player. So I love to see it, and I hope it works out for Hitox. I just know for me, I would die 7 times over before getting through anything.
You've got Phoebe. You don't have Ruben. It's okay. I think you can get through. It might take a couple tries, but that'd be pretty funny to be stuck at the end, unfortunately. And it could happen. Yeah, that Cupid Locket provide and Aegis Shield both provide some key protections that certainly could be necessary to have a less than awful time here at the end.
Yeah, and we have Hitox going into this with Ben at level 14 as well. Uh, we have enemies that can shuffle, or bosses that can shuffle between 25 and 125%. So this is a full-on crapshoot, but you are banking on the fact that the average boss is going to be 75% here. And you really hope that that 75% hits or lower and not a bunch of 125ers here.
Yeah, you're really hoping that everything here up rolled chill, uh, exciting. I mean, we got the first boss off screen, but yeah, this is some real low level play to be heading in here at the end. It could get very, very exciting, especially these first two bosses. Uh, Easy to remove. They're both cheesable in their own way. We've got exit and life available to us since we don't have resist shuffles. They're going to work every time, or at least unless they miss, which can happen. But the next two bosses, yeah, we'll see if they roll thick or mean. This low level dive may not work out or just may end up taking more time than expected, to get through, giving Noob Tree that much more time to catch up.
Yeah, and we see with Scolorus, not Flamerus, but the refight, it only had 2,800 health. So that rolled near minimum. That was a 28% roll on a range of 25 to 125. So it was a super low roll. We have no idea what the Golem did because it gets exited. So the Hydra is going to be our first real test. Because this Hydra could be mean. It could wake up with Quake. It could wake up
Yep.
with all sorts of other nasty things. But it looks like it just popped up with Beam there. That's not particularly scary at this phase of the game. We are dropping rocks on a dinosaur. If you are a fan of The Land Before Time, just close your eyes. It'll be okay. Littlefoot and Littlefoot's mom. They're going to make it through, even if this Hydra won't.
Yep.
That was a deep cut. Sorry,
Oh
y'all.
my. Yeah. Not showing up to be too mean. We still have a jerk bird up in front, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Zub be the final boss, or a good approximation thereof, as he likes to do very frequently in these flags. I feel like, but we'll see. We've still got a lot of power. We're missing a few key defenses, but hopefully the power we have is enough to push through. We did hit 16, so we've got that extra bell charge as well. As good as we're gonna get without doing an extra grind.
Yeah, only getting punched for 129 there. That's a very low roll. I don't think this has much to it.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a 25 percenter there. So, easy as you like, Kataksha's gonna blow their way right through the refights because I mean, if you can roll 25%, why not? I guess.
yeah.
And on
Wow.
to Dark King we go.
Yeah, and Noob Tree, I mean, making up great time here, already on the boat, deciding to take some levels. Not something, I'm surprised to see at all. Like you said, there's a lot of safety in HP going into the end. And notably, Noob Tree did not go pick up the extra armor pieces, shield pieces, or helmet pieces, or accessory that Hitox did. So, gonna hope that the extra levels are enough to get him through. And probably, I mean, based on what we've seen, maybe all that you need to really push through.
Yeah, phase one was 3 spells. It can roll as low as one, so not too bad on phase one, but tough to tell. We're really going to see the teeth of Dark King here, if it has any, starting in phase two and three. But phase two also real light. That was only another 2 spells. So not much happening in the first two phases. This third phase is going to need to play hero ball in NBA terms to have a chance of doing anything but getting dunked on here.
Yeah, not looking likely at this point, but there's still, yeah, some.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
All right, we got a baby Dark King tonight. Low roll on the HP threshold. I'm sure the runners will be sad. That's one of the things about the spoiler log seeds as well, is you potentially could have routed this very light outside of the need to get through those few enemies early, and avoided. How much time could you really have trimmed off? I think will be kind of what Hitox is thinking afterwards, having seen. Yeah, there we go. GG.
Yeah, GG Hitox very well run.
Yeah, very well run. Excited to see. I really liked looking over the flags ahead of time and sort of seeing what, how the different flags were going to interact and how you would approach it, spoiler log wise. And Doc certainly showing off there that you can do a lot of skipping around and take down these flags in a real reasonable time. And Noob Tree right on his heels, really.
Yeah, Noob Tree definitely got the worst end of the Fireberg adventures. I think a little bit of that knowledge from Hatox on kind of how to handle the enemies at a lower level was really the Kickstarter or the springboard, however you want to phrase it there. Just being able to get through that was very beneficial to Hatox in their adventures here.
Yeah, I think also the early seed pickup, there were some seeds on the way through the sand coin door in Focus Tower. And I don't know if the Tox knew that they were there, or was just, grabbing them because. But having just those three seeds sort of, yeah, helped push through those enemies. And yeah, like we saw, they were pretty rude, but important to get through early. And kind of the only real blocker the seed had as far as enemy progression along the way. So that was interesting.
Yeah, and otherwise, I mean, really, the enemies themselves, those air quote random encounters, those were the final boss, not actually the bosses.
Yeah. Yeah, we had those ninjas early in front of the Sky Coin that were required. Yeah, and then that Medusa pack blocking that pass in Lava Dome that really, you know, put the runners to work early. You've got level 7 Ben, level 7 Phoebe trying to figure out how to get through some not particularly nice enemies.
Yeah, and speaking of level 7, we have level 7 champion Hatox joining us in the booth now. GG's to you, Hatox, and I guess you're welcome for the fact that none of the refights or Dark King had any HP.
Hey, yes, that was amazing. I thank you to whoever rolled that.
The race bot, and also me.
Ah, beautiful. You also put some things in some amazing places, by the way.
Like ninjas in front of your sky coin and some other rude enemies in Fireberg? No, I know you're talking about some nice things, not those, but
The ninjas were a nice touch. I'm not gonna lie. Popping out of that cave to see them. But I actually did forget that there was a sky coin up there. Because I didn't have a claw the first time I went through Lava Dome.
yeah, we noticed that when you got on the boat, it was like, oh, what is the Tox going back for? Maybe it's the Pazuzu Tower accessory and shield. No, no, it's the sky
No.
coin, which is more important. In fact, that's the required piece.
Yep. Small minor oopsie right there.
Yeah,
Definitely a lot to sort of absorb in on the spoiler log too as you're running, especially with progressive gear required, a lot of pieces to put together. So understandable to miss one in an early zone and realize later.
Okay, let's see. So, spoiler log. So it opened up that thing, and immediately I realized that we're gonna have to do Wake Water the hard way. Because a bunch of things that we needed were Wake Water locked.
Yeah,
We
that
but
is.
didn't even,
bombs.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's absolutely true. And also, while you were in the middle of one singular thought, Noob Tree went through the entire Zuh fight. Just wanted to, again, throw that out there that Zuh had nothing to it. It was great.
Oh, yes. I think it probably took me longer to form that thought than it did for Nutri to get through Zuh. Oh, while we're at it, Dark King, I think Dark King's first phase was probably longer than any of his others, and
Hmm.
that's
Yep.
just because he won't transform before he hits you.
Yep.
Yep, yeah, he must have rolled very, very tiny on that HP roll tonight as well, which, I mean, you never know going into it, right? Because that stuff's not on the spoiler log exactly what you're going to need to go to the end, but that extra armor, shield, and helmet pickup, Noob Tree doesn't have any of those, and it's not going to cost. So it's interesting to see sort of how much you can trim off, right, of a spoiler log race.
You know, that's props to him because I wanted at least paralysis protection, I think, going into that fight. Um, and seeing where all the shields were and the accessories were, like, they were just so out of the way. Um, let's see. What was a moment? Going straight to Ice Pyramid, to start off the game, that was pretty amazing. Not having to die a volcano for anything until later. after I had exit.
Volcano
that
and
was
a
that
shuffle in Foresta? Never. Oh, GG Noob Tree, by the way. Very well done.
Right? Oh,
Heck
yep.
yeah. Yeah, just a few more struggles early. Didn't get those seeds that you got early, so sort of had some troubles with those enemies in Lava Dome that were blocking the important stuff to really get you all moving. Speaking of that, the Lava Dome play and Fireberg play, did you expect to have the difficulty getting that Sun Coin from the vendor? That turned out to be not quite as easy to get into that windier region early as maybe the spoiler log led it to appear to be.
I saw the Sun Coin on the Fireberg vendor, and I knew it was gonna be a matter of getting money. And then the first battlefield in the Foresta region had nothing. Like talk about your pinching pennies. It was a recession all over the place. So we had to go and find money the hard way. Went to Lava Dome with the 3 seeds in hand and spent all of them just trying to throw the switch, which we needed to do to get the Wake Water. So I had to nope out of Lava Dome at that point because I had no more sea charges left, and I didn't want to have to fight enemies on path without white. Turns out I didn't have to, but hey, having some seeds in your back pocket never hurts.
No, not at all.
Absolutely, and I do want to welcome Noob Tree into the booth as well. GG's to you, Noob Tree. Very, very well run.
Thank you, GG's Talks. That was fun.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that. You mentioned it was fun, and I think that's a great segue to Hatox being in the booth because this is Hatox's flag set that they dreamed up for the month. So Hatox, what was your inspiration? Why did you want this? It's awesome that it worked out and it was such a cool little exhibition here. But just kind of take us through the design, the concept, the whole shebang.
So, first of all, for the flag set itself and the inspiration, big shout out to our monthly, or I guess our every other month weekly seed master Chimere. That was definitely the inspiration. I love spoiler log because I think it's a real big emphasis on planning and routing, and then routing on the fly when you find out the thing that you need the most is like locked behind parts of the map that you didn't know you didn't have access to because of how the spoiler log is laid out. So that's always a good moment. But spoiler log is definitely the thing I love doing the most. And as far as the settings, progressive gear, it really with spoiler log you're trying to make it longer because otherwise you're just I need Dragon Claw, go to Dragon Claw. I need Mega Grenades, go to Mega Grenades. This forces you to go and get everything along the way. So it does force you to kind of run a different route, knowing that, okay, I need Claw, 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 instead of just I need Dragon Claw. And then Overworld Shuffle adds to the fun because you don't know what's on the frozen ledge. You don't know what's behind Lava Dome, the Hydra lock path. Other isolated places. So it makes you kind of like really have to readjust your route on the fly. So I've learned, for instance, to not delete things out of the spoiler log because that the one time you need multi-key, you've deleted it and you have no idea where it is anymore.
Definitely makes sense, and love that explanation of everything. I know that you mentioned, needing more than just Dragon Claw and needing Claw, Claw, Claw. And in this case, every claw was roughly within about 5 steps of each other in Fireberg. And Noob Tree, for you made a very concerted effort to kind of full clear everything as you went. You went through the whole Foresta region and cleared a ton of it. Then you went up to Fireberg and you were pretty, I guess, staunchly opposed to leaving anything behind there. And that meant come heck or high water, you were going to figure out a way through some of those encounters that were really pretty rude to you. What was kind of your thought process on, like, were you ever considering going and leaving and maybe coming back with that more power, or was it just I'm gonna get this all while I'm here?
There was a thought in Lava Dome, especially when I got stalled on the Medusa gargoyle fight. I thought about dipping out and going out. I was like, it took a little bit for me to like get there, but I thought, if I can just get an extra seed and get in there with white and get a hit off, I should be fine. And I understand that that was a very, very difficult, high risk, high, like, in my opinion, high risk, high reward play. And it did slow me down a lot. But it honestly, like, the way I've never done a race like this, looking at it and planning it out in my head. Um, the talks even mentioned it whenever I saw Aquaria. The two places that I needed to level up Phoebe were behind Frozen Ledge. And I was like, well, I might as well try and get a little bit of power because I know what I can do here. I can get all the claws, I can get everything ready. Exit is available for me. Um, and after that, my mind was just like, okay, scrambled eggs, let's go. What do I do now? Because everything is not exactly how I thought about it when I started this spoiler race. So, um, yeah, there was definitely a thought of like, we'll try to get power overwhelming, but it just I wanted to push through with what I had thought out to help me focus more on different types of routing, uh, than just try to get power so I can make it through. I want to know like what's the smarter move, what's the quickest move type thing.
Makes a lot of sense, and I must say, for your first showing in a race of any sort with spoilers, that's a heck of a showing, my friend.
Thank you. I am still fairly new to this randomizer. I'm like trying out like the harder flags. I'm in the Shrug to Speed program, uh, so we're getting more advanced in that. But playing this and seeing like, hey, you know where all the answers are. Now figure out the puzzle pieces for them was really cool to like actually rack my brain and figure out. Okay, I can do this instead of this. I don't have to full clear this if I find this. Uh, yeah, I'm just happy to be a part of it, to be honest.
All right, we're happy to have you. Again, it was a great showing, and thank you so much to both you and Hitox for volunteering for Restream. Because without y'all, it would be really hard to put on a race. So yeah, thank you again to both of you. It was wonderful. And Potato, before we let our runners have any final thoughts, do you have any questions for them? I know I've hogged a bit of the mic here in the interview session.
No, I don't think I have any questions. You covered a lot of it, and Hatox and Noobtree both sort of expounded on their thoughts a good deal. I was very pleased to see us get a spoiler log community race and some people tackle it, and I'm glad to hear that it was as fun as the idea sounded. I really think there's some fun things you can do with spoiler log, and the way you have to think is just a little different, and that's something I feel like we've been showing off a lot lately in the Mystic Quest flags, with the SGL 25 flags, the Shrug the Speed program. There's a lot of variance to how the flags change the puzzle that is the Mystic Quest rando. It's not just about the same sort of approach each time as some other randos can kind of be. And I really like that we're getting to showcase that. And it's my pleasure to be here chatting with you while we get to see them show it off.
Yeah, definitely. It's always a blast to get to do comms or to run or whatever it may be. So, with that being said, Noobtree, any final thoughts from your end before we let you enjoy the rest of your evening?
I just want to say thanks to the Restream team. You said you couldn't have a race without us. We couldn't put on a show without y'all. So thank you so much for all your hard work. I can't wait to watch the VOD, hear the comms, make fun of myself for missing. A lot of big plays. Hatox, GG's. It was fun playing with your flag set. And I do want to do a special shout out to Ultima Strike for taking notes and helping out specifically after races that I've done each week. And all of the people in Shrug to Speed, y'all are doing fantastic. I just, it's fun here. Try it out if you haven't tried it. It's a little intimidating at first when you get DK petrifying you every other round, but sometimes you just run over them and it feels great. So try it out.
And Hatox, over to you. Any final thoughts for you, my friend?
It's always a blast having you guys up in the booth and sometimes working with you guys and racing against you guys, both you and Potato. Big shout outs also to our tracker tonight. I think it was Socket tracking.
Yeah.
Um, and Ham, of course, for coordinating the restream and for the dev work, and for FFR for graciously allowing us to use their channel and put up all this content. And for everyone out there watching, please jump in the Discord, roll a seed for yourself. It doesn't need to be this one. There are plenty of other very friendly seeds out there, including what we have, improved vanilla, just a slightly faster and I guess more fun version of the game you all knew and loved when you were kids. I'm dating myself right there.
I mean, we're all old. Let's be real.
Yep. But thank you all. Yeah. And close us out there. Awesome.
Will do. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out this evening and being a part of what was a wonderful little exhibition race here for the monthly November race. We had Hatox and Noob Tree GGs again to both. Hatox, your winner at 35.39. Noob Tree, a very respectable 41.25 for their first ever spoiler race. So GGs again, gentlemen. Socket, thank you for the tracking. Wildem, thank you for the restream. Potato, thank you for the commentary. Final Fantasy Randomizer, thank you so much for letting us use your channel to put on this fantastic little event here. And I do want to make sure that we shout out the Final Fantasy Randomizer Marathon, the Winter Marathon coming up. If you liked the Mystic Quest you saw now, there will be 2 bits of Mystic Quest that are coming up in that marathon from December 4th to December 7th. So if this channel, give it a follow. You can catch all that action, that extended weekend, if you will. You'll see a race between Potato and myself, and then Mystic Quest will be part of a relay race between Tybalt and myself. So you will get 2 doses of Mystic Quest in that event as well. So if you like what you saw tonight, stay tuned on this channel, stay tuned in the Mystic Quest Discord. Everyone's there to help and welcome you and, support a great cause with the marathon as well. I think that's about all we have for tonight. So thank you again, everyone behind the scenes. Potato, any final thoughts that you may have before we depart for the evening? Final words are yours, my friend.
Just seconding everything you said. Follow this channel. Come check out the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest Randomizer Discord. It's a fantastic place. You can learn a lot and have a good time with friends. Playing a fun game. But for tonight, that's it. Keep an eye out on this channel for more stuff later on down the road. It's a good time. But for now, have a good night, everybody.